The courthouse was suffocatingly silent as the gavel's echo shattered the air, sealing a verdict that sent shockwaves through every soul present. Daniel Hayes felt his chest tighten, as though the judgment struck him directly. Across the aisle, Emily Ward whispered, "This can't be justice." Her words trembled, caught between despair and rage. The judge's eyes showed no hesitation, yet Daniel's instincts screamed that the truth had slipped away, buried under lies. Outside, thunder cracked, the storm mirroring the turmoil inside him. As the crowd shuffled in disbelief, Daniel lingered, his knuckles white against the rail. He whispered to himself, "I know this isn't the end." But as he turned, the faint ringing of his phone promised that a darker beginning had just arrived. Daniel Hayes stepped into the storm, rain drenching his suit as though the night itself wanted to drown him. His mind replayed the trial, every false testimony, every hidden exchange. Emily Ward rushed after him, her voice rising above thunder. "You can't walk away now." Daniel turned slowly, his face carved in stone but his eyes fractured. "I never walk away," he said, voice heavy as the storm. Lightning streaked, painting their figures in cold fire. The verdict was wrong, twisted by unseen hands. He whispered to himself, unheard by Emily, "If I can't trust the court, I'll find the truth in the shadows." Inside his car, Daniel Hayes sat motionless, windshield wipers battling the storm. His phone vibrated again with an unknown number, yet instinct told him it was tied to the case. He answered, voice low. A distorted voice whispered, "The truth wasn't lost, it was buried." His pulse spiked as he glanced at the rearview mirror where headlights loomed too close. Emily Ward's words echoed in his mind, alongside the sound of the gavel. He gripped the steering wheel, doubt gnawing at him. The caller ended with, "Find the letter before it finds you." Silence. Daniel sat frozen, storm hammering down, no louder than the storm inside him. Daniel Hayes drove aimlessly through rain-slicked streets as city lights blurred into streaks. Testimonies replayed in his mind like haunting ghosts. Buried, but where? He muttered. A memory struck, Emily Ward's trembling hands clutching a sealed envelope before the trial. Could she have hidden something? He tightened his grip on the wheel, wipers thrashing with his heartbeat. Passing an abandoned diner, neon light flickering red and blue through rain, he slowed, unable to look away. The storm was pulling him deeper, pushing him toward choices where law and obsession blurred. Daniel Hayes pulled beneath a flickering streetlight, engine rumbling low. He stared at his phone, replaying the words. "Find a letter," he muttered. "Emily, what haven't you told me?" His reflection in the glass looked older, worn, consumed. The storm raged, washing streets clean, but justice remained stained. He leaned back, eyes closing briefly, then headlights approached slowly in the mirror. A chill ran through him. "Too close. I'm already too close," he whispered. The storm swallowed his words, but the silence promised only the beginning. Daniel Hayes sat at his desk, rain pattering against the office window, as dawn threatened the horizon. The narrator revealed how exhaustion weighed on him, yet his mind refused rest. Emily Ward entered hesitantly, her clothes still damp from the night, eyes hollow. "You don't trust me," she said, her voice breaking. Daniel looked up slowly, gaze piercing, but his words were steady. "Trust is earned, Emily, and last night raised questions." She lowered her head, trembling. "There's something I couldn't say in court." The silence thickened as the hum of the storm faded. Daniel leaned forward, jaw clenched. "Then you'd better say it now before it destroys us both." Emily Ward stepped closer, her hands twisting nervously as the narrator explained her burden. She whispered, "I had a letter, sealed from someone who vanished years ago." Daniel Hayes narrowed his eyes, the storm outside forgotten. "Where is it now?" he demanded, his voice sharp. Emily's shoulders sank as guilt etched across her face. "I burned it, Daniel. I thought it would protect me." He slammed his hand against the desk, anger barely contained. "You destroyed evidence that could have saved a life." Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't know who to trust. The silence cracked as Daniel muttered, "Now we're all paying the price." The narrator described Daniel Hayes pacing the office, his thoughts racing faster than his steps. Emily Ward sat on the edge of a chair, silent, watching his fury shift into cold calculation. "If the letter's gone, then someone else has the truth," Daniel muttered. He stopped abruptly, turning to her. "Who gave it to you?" She hesitated, fear in her voice. "It was left in my locker at work. No name, no message." Daniel rubbed his temples, the storm inside him matching the one still rumbling outside. He whispered to himself, "Someone's pulling strings, and we're their puppets." Emily shivered at the words. The narrator revealed how Daniel Hayes pulled open a drawer, scattering old files across the desk. "We start again," he said, determination cutting through the air. Emily Ward rose, her voice trembling. "Daniel, what if this is bigger than us?" He looked at her with eyes hardened by scars of past cases. "It always is," he muttered. He unfolded maps, pinned photos, strings of connections forming webs of suspicion. Emily stepped closer, her breath uneven. "You'll lose yourself chasing this." Daniel froze, then whispered, "Maybe that's the only way to find them." The storm outside gave way to dawn light, but inside, shadows deepened. As morning broke, the narrator described Daniel Hayes staring at a photo pinned on the wall, the face of a missing man frozen in time. Emily Ward approached cautiously, whispering, "He was connected to the letter, wasn't he?" Daniel's eyes darkened. "He was more than connected. He was the case I never closed." Emily gasped softly, realizing the depth of his obsession. "Daniel, this isn't just justice, it's personal." His jaw tightened as he whispered, "Everything I've ever done has been personal." The silence lingered like a wound, unhealed and unhealable, as the storm faded and daylight revealed truths too heavy to escape. The narrator described Daniel Hayes driving Emily Ward through the rain-slick streets, silence heavy between them. The car's headlights cut through fog, but neither looked at the other. Emily finally broke the quiet, her voice fragile. "I wasn't supposed to have that letter, Daniel. It wasn't mine to keep, don't you?" His knuckles tightened around the steering wheel, eyes fixed on the road. "Then whose secret were you protecting?" he asked sharply. Emily shook her head, staring at the rain beating the window. "I don't know. Or maybe I didn't want to know." Daniel's jaw clenched as the weight of betrayal pressed harder. "Secrets don't vanish, Emily. They come back as ghosts." The narrator explained how Daniel Hayes pulled the car into a dimly lit parking lot beside an abandoned factory. Storm had weakened, but mist clung to the ground. He turned to Emily Ward with cold precision. "If you're hiding more, this is the time to talk." She shook her head quickly, fear written across her features. "I told you everything." Daniel studied her expression, reading the tremor in her voice. "Lies are easy, Emily. Truth leaves scars." She looked away, whispering, "Then maybe I'm already scarred." His chest tightened, hearing in her words something he recognized in himself. The narrator revealed how Daniel Hayes stepped out of the car, scanning the misty lot with sharp eyes, his instincts alert. Emily Ward followed hesitantly, clutching her coat around her shoulders. "Why here?" she asked, voice shaking. Daniel's eyes lingered on the factory's shattered windows. "Because sometimes answers hide in forgotten places." He reached into his pocket, checking his phone, the mysterious call replaying in his mind. Emily's voice broke through. "Do you really think the letter's gone?" Daniel turned toward her, eyes cold. "Nothing is ever gone, Emily. It's just buried deeper." His words seemed to chill the air around them. The narrator described Daniel Hayes moving cautiously toward the factory door, Emily Ward trailing close, her steps hesitant. He pressed his hand against the rusted handle, whispering, "This place still remembers things." Emily shivered, glancing at the shattered glass. "What are we even looking for?" she asked. Daniel's eyes narrowed as he pushed the door open, creaking into the shadows. "Patterns, lies, connections. Ghosts leave trails." Inside, Dust and silence hung thick, broken only by the sound of dripping water. Emily touched his arm nervously. "Daniel, this feels wrong." His voice hardened. "Truth always does." Inside the factory, the narrator revealed broken machines and scattered papers across the floor, relics of abandonment. Daniel Hayes' footsteps echoed as he scanned the shadows. Emily Ward whispered, "Why does it feel like someone's still here?" Daniel stopped, eyes narrowing at a wall plastered with faded clippings and photos. He stepped closer, hand brushing dust from a photograph that made his heart pound. It was the face of the missing man, the case that haunted him most. "He was here," Daniel muttered, voice tight. Emily's breath caught, fear sharp in her chest. Then whoever took him knew we'd come too. The narrator described Daniel Hayes studying the wall of photographs, his breath shallow. Emily Ward stepped closer, voice trembling. "Why would his face be here?" Daniel's eyes darkened. "Because he was never missing. He was erased." Emily shook her head in disbelief. "You mean someone changed the story?" Daniel's fingers traced the edges of the photo. "Not someone. People with power, people we've trusted." Emily's pulse quickened, fear tightening in her chest. Daniel whispered, "The truth isn't gone, Emily. It's been rewritten." For the first time, the betrayal stretched beyond one case. It infected everything. The narrator revealed how Emily Ward spotted a newspaper clipping pinned at the edge of the wall. She pulled it free, her hand trembling. "Daniel, this is about you," she whispered. His heart sank as he saw his own face on the page, tied to a case long buried. "They were watching me all along," Daniel muttered, voice low with rage. Emily stepped back, shock tightening her throat. "This isn't just their story, it's yours too." His chest heaved, memories flooding in. "I wasn't investigating them. They were investigating me." The factory's silence pressed in, the walls suddenly alive with betrayal. The narrator described Daniel Hayes storming deeper into the factory, dust swirling with each step. Emily Ward followed nervously, whispering, "Daniel, what if this was meant for you to find?" His eyes scanned the darkness. "Then they've already decided my role." He pulled open a metal drawer, revealing files stamped with red ink. Emily gasped as she saw her name among them. "Why would they know about me?" Daniel's voice hardened. "Because they knew you'd be the key to breaking me." Emily's knees weakened as realization hit. The factory wasn't a hiding place. It was a trap. The narrator revealed footsteps echoing across the empty hall, heavy and deliberate. Daniel Hayes froze, signaling Emily Ward to stay silent. A tall figure stepped from the shadows, slow and controlled. It was Victor Kane. The velvet blade, his presence suffocating. "Still chasing ghosts, Daniel?" he said calmly. Daniel's eyes narrowed. "You never left the case, did you?" Victor smirked, adjusting his cufflinks. "Cases end. Stories don't." Emily's breath quickened, recognizing the danger. Daniel stepped forward. "You erased him, didn't you?" Victor's smile deepened. "No, Daniel, I erased you long before you knew it." The hall trembled with the weight of his words. The narrator described Daniel Hayes facing Victor Kane, tension thick as steel. "You've been controlling everything," Daniel said, voice low but firm. Victor's calm expression never wavered. "Truth is clay, Daniel. I only shape it." Emily Ward stepped forward, voice breaking. "You used me." Victor's eyes slid toward her. "Everyone is used, my dear. Even survivors." Daniel's jaw locked as the storm outside roared louder, rattling the broken glass. "You think this ends with your story," Daniel growled. Victor's smile sharpened. "No, it ends with yours." The factory seemed to close in, every shadow now whispering of betrayal. The narrator described Daniel Hayes standing frozen as Victor Kane's words echoed. Emily Ward clutched Daniel's arm, her voice breaking. "You can't let him win." Victor stepped closer, calm, his eyes cold steel. "Winning isn't the point, Daniel. control is. Daniel's jaw tightened, the storm rattling glass above them. You destroyed lives for your story. Victor tilted his head. And you gave me everything I needed by chasing shadows. Emily's fear turned to anger as she shouted, "You ruined us." Victor's gaze flicked to her with disdain. Daniel stepped forward, fists clenched, growling, "This ends tonight." The narrator revealed how Victor Kane circled them like a predator. "You mistake survival for justice, Daniel," he said smoothly. Daniel Hayes' eyes burned as he snapped back. "No, I mistake you for a man worth fearing." Victor's smirk deepened. Emily Ward stepped between them, trembling but defiant. "If this is about rewriting truth, then I refuse to be part of your story." Victor's gaze sharpened, voice low. "Then you're already written out." He reached into his coat, revealing documents marked with seals of power. Daniel's stomach turned. These weren't just files. They were blueprints of corruption spanning years. The narrator described Daniel Hayes lunging forward, slamming the files from Victor Kane's hand. Papers scattered across the dusty floor, revealing names, dates, and secrets tied to powerful figures. Victor remained calm, brushing his suit sleeve as if nothing mattered. "Truth is fragile," he said, his voice carrying arrogance. Daniel glared, chest heaving. "No, truth is stronger than you." Emily Ward crouched, snatching one page from the floor, her eyes widening. "Daniel, your name is in here." He froze, staring at the page in her hand. Victor's calm voice sliced the air. "Because you were always part of the story." The narrator revealed Daniel Hayes grabbing the paper from Emily Ward's hand, reading the damning lines. His voice cracked. "They used me." Emily whispered, "No, they broke you." Victor Kane stepped closer, his smile growing. "You were never the investigator, Daniel. You were the evidence." Rage surged through Daniel, his fist slamming into Victor's chest, sending him stumbling back. The storm outside roared as broken glass rattled across the floor. Emily gasped, pulling Daniel back, fear flashing in her eyes. Victor steadied himself, straightened his suit, and smirked. "Finally, you're becoming the man they wrote you to be." The narrator described the climax as Victor Kane straightened, a faint trail of blood on his lip. His calm mask cracked, anger flashing in his eyes. "You've made a mistake, Daniel," he hissed. Daniel Hayes stood tall, chest heaving, stormlight flickering across his face. "No, the mistake was trusting you." Emily Ward stepped closer to Daniel, her trembling hand gripping his. Victor glanced at her, voice venomous. "You'll both burn in the story I create." Daniel's eyes blazed with defiance. "Then I'll burn with the truth." The storm thundered, echoing the war between lies and justice, as betrayal reached its peak. The narrator described Daniel Hayes standing over Victor Kane as the storm outside softened into steady rain. Emily Ward clung to Daniel's arm, her face pale. "We should go to the police," she whispered, voice trembling. Daniel shook his head, his eyes locked on the scattered files. "These papers are more dangerous than guns. In the wrong hands, they bury the truth forever." Emily bent to pick up a page, her hands trembling. "Then we can't leave them here." Daniel sighed, voice heavy. "No, but carrying them makes us the next targets." The silence stretched, broken only by the dripping water echoing in the factory. The narrator revealed Emily Ward, holding out a torn page to Daniel Hayes. "Your name is here," she said softly, "but it's written like you were part of them." Daniel's hands shook as he read. "They used me to cover their tracks, to chase the wrong shadows." Emily's eyes filled with sympathy. "That doesn't make you guilty." Daniel looked away, voice cracking. "No, but it makes me blind." Victor Kane's laugh echoed weakly from the corner. "Blind? You were perfect, Daniel. You gave them everything." Emily crouched, glaring at Victor. "Not anymore." The narrator described Daniel Hayes stuffing the files into a worn briefcase, his resolve hardening. Emily Ward whispered, "If you walk out with that, they'll come for you." Daniel met her eyes, tired but fierce. They already have. This time, I'll be ready. Emily touched his shoulder gently. You can't fight them alone. Daniel nodded faintly. I won't. But I also won't stop. Victor Kane sneered, blood streaking his chin. You'll drown in their lies. Daniel shot him a cold glance. Maybe, but I'd rather drown fighting than breathe as their pawn. The narrator revealed the trio stepping out into the gray morning. The storm finally passed. Daniel Hayes walked first, briefcase in hand, face marked by exhaustion. Emily Ward followed close, her gaze darting nervously. Victor Kane was dragged behind, hands bound, yet his smirk never faded. You think daylight makes you safe? He asked, his voice calm despite defeat. Daniel didn't look back. It makes me visible, and that's the last thing your shadows want. Emily whispered, They'll still come after us. Daniel replied firmly, Then let them, we'll meet them in the open. The narrator described Daniel Hayes stopping at the edge of the road, staring at the horizon glowing faintly gold. Emily Ward stood beside him whispering, What if no one believes us? Daniel's eyes remained fixed forward. Then we keep fighting until they do. Victor Kane chuckled softly behind them. You'll never win. The story is already written. Daniel finally turned, his voice sharp as steel. Then I'll write a new ending. Emily slipped her hand into his, her eyes glistening with fragile hope. For the first time, Daniel allowed himself a faint smile, though it carried the weight of war still to come. The narrator described Daniel Hayes walking through a quiet street as dawn bled into day. Emily Ward kept close, her steps unsteady, her eyes watching every shadow. Do you think anyone will believe us? She asked softly. Daniel's voice was firm but weary. Belief isn't the goal, Emily. Truth is. She lowered her gaze, whispering, And what if truth kills us? Daniel glanced at her, his expression carved from steel. Then we die holding it, not running from it. The world around them stirred to life. Traffic in the distance, children's laughter faint. Yet their path stretched darker than daylight could pierce. The narrator revealed Daniel Hayes meeting an ally in the shadows of a narrow alley. It was Marcus Cole, the steady anchor, face hardened with guilt. You shouldn't be here, Marcus muttered. Daniel's jaw tightened. Neither should you. Marcus handed him a flash drive, his voice low. It's everything they buried. Emily Ward's breath caught. Then you were part of them. Marcus nodded faintly. I was their hand, but now I'm breaking it. Daniel's eyes narrowed. Betrayal has no redemption. Marcus whispered, Maybe not, but truth still needs a messenger. The air between them vibrated with unfinished history. The narrator described Daniel Hayes taking the flash drive, his eyes burning with distrust. Emily Ward whispered, Daniel, if he's telling the truth, this could expose them. Marcus Cole stepped closer, voice trembling. It could also destroy you. Daniel looked at him with cold fury. I've already been destroyed. Emily touched his arm gently. But you're still standing. The silence stretched, broken only by footsteps in the distance. Marcus whispered urgently, You don't understand, Daniel. They won't stop with you. They'll come for her too. Daniel's gaze shifted to Emily, his heart sinking, realizing the trap was wider than he feared. The narrator revealed how Victor Kane's voice carried from the far end of the alley. So predictable. Daniel Hayes turned sharply, eyes narrowing. Victor stepped forward, wrists still bound, yet his smile untouched. Even chained, I lead you. Emily Ward gasped, stepping back. Marcus Cole raised his fists, guilt and anger mixing in his eyes. Daniel stepped forward, growling, This ends now. Victor tilted his head, whispering, It never ends, Daniel. It just changes narrators. The words hung heavy, echoing across the walls, as if the alley itself absorbed them. The storm had passed, but the war lingered. The narrator described Daniel Hayes facing Victor Kane in silence, their eyes locked. Emily Ward whispered, Daniel, don't let him write this ending. Victor smiled faintly. But he already has. Marcus Cole growled. Then let's rewrite it together. Daniel raised the flash drive, stormlight gleaming on its surface. This is the truth, he said, voice steady. Victor laughed softly. Truth is nothing without belief. Daniel stepped closer, his voice sharp as a blade. Then belief starts now. Emily's grip tightened on his arm, her eyes wet with hope. The alley darkened as if swallowing the moment, leaving only one haunting question: whose truth would survive?